when I was in the PNW, this guy told me, he said there's white bears here, like polar bears. And I'm like, get out of here. And then he's like, no, it's called the spirit bear. And I'm like, dude, you've been smoking way too much. Well, I actually looked it up. No, it's an albino black bear.
Oh, no
Solid
way.
white, dude, everything. And they're running around the PNW. You might just see them
Dude.
randomly. You could be just paddling randomly in Northern California, and there'll be a spirit bear on the side of the river. And you're like, is that a polar bear here in California or Oregon? It's crazy. I had to ask you that if you ever seen a spirit bear.
Dude, if I'm ever scouting a waterfall and I see a spirit bear, I think that's my sign. I got to do it.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's awesome. Well, yeah, man. The reason I wanted you to come on here is I just wanted everybody to hear about some of your travels. You know, you've definitely jumped into the deep end, to say the least, on paddling. And over the past couple of years, I remember seeing you out on the Ocoee, and I think the Hiwassee Drives was the first time I seen you, and you lost your
Yeah,
GoPro right off
yeah.
the top of your head.
That's right, man.
Do you remember that?
I still have the mount. It was those like it wasn't the actual mount that came off. It was those four little screws that go
Yeah.
in.
And I'm
So
like, no, it's not there. You're like,
yeah,
oh
man.
no.
I started to hear a little wiggle on my new ones right now, and
Yeah.
I still get worried. But yeah, man. So
Yeah, because me and you
cool.
both are some Tennessee natives there. I noticed you're rocking the Ocoee shirt. Look at that Ocoee shirt he's
Yes,
got on.
sir. I got this for Christmas. It was the
He's
old
got an
school.
Ocoee 1996. Looks like probably the Ocoee rodeo, right? Is that what that
It
is?
might it might just be. I honestly have not looked at the shirt too hard. I just saw Okoe and I was like, cool, man. Good enough for me. Yeah, I'm from Nashville. Well, I was born in California, like Sacramento area, and then by kindergarten, I was over in Nashville, and so I pretty much grew up there. No whitewater at all over there, as you know. Closest thing is maybe Rock
Yep.
Island, or
Yep.
maybe we ran a dam in some recreational kayaks one time. That was maybe the birth of my paddling career. But those
What
were in
dam
some.
do you remember? Are
It was
you
the
allowed to
Duck
say?
River Dam.
Where's that at? Duck River Dam. Is that?
It's pretty close to like Spring Hill, Tennessee.
Oh, that's
Um,
that's below. Is that around Nashville?
yes. So I'm
Yeah.
like 30 minutes south of Nashville.
Yeah, so Spring Hill's a little bit below Nashville. I think like I don't yeah, about 30, 40 minutes. I know that area.
Yep.
So it's like
Yeah.
yeah, Nashville's a good little spot there, man. Yeah, that's
Yep.
before I knew about Rock Island and all that, obviously. Because
Yeah.
we were right there.
Rock Island changes the game, huh?
Yeah. Man, and what I wanted to ask you was just I know you've been paddling a lot of boats. I mean, I think I even sold you a boat a while back, a Nomad. Hey, whatever
Yes.
happened to that Nomad, by the way?
Dude, I never used it.
I knew you were getting a boat like an Antics or a Rewind or something. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was an Antics. I was like, he's not going to use that. No. Then I think you ended
Yeah.
up buying like a Z3 or something.
Yeah, I
Gain
did have the
Z3. And I was
Z3.
like, he's
I
going to
did
be.
have the
I think I
Z3.
seen it back on Facebook Marketplace. And like, I was like,
Yeah, man.
dude, you can't go like to something sporty and fun and then go back to
Yeah. No.
like a Nomad or Z. They're good boats for what they are, but I get it, man. Once you get into like a sporty boat, you're like, I'm not going back. Screw
Yeah,
that.
for sure. I thought it would give me magical powers on the Cascades, but it was first time down the Cascades, even in a Dane Jackson boat, is still humbling, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
didn't do what I think I was gonna do. Yeah,
Well, yeah.
man.
So, what are
So
you paddling right now? What's your kind of go-to craft for right now?
oh man. So my normal lineup is pretty much the OG and the Stees. I go back and
Okay.
forth between the Stees and the Puffy Stees. I kind of like don't have a favorite between the two, just because I don't know. They both like really have their place in my lineup.
You talking about the
Like
Puffy and Steez regular or the OG and Steez or all of them?
the Puffy and the regular Stees. Um,
Oh,
so
you
I
you
honestly, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So you actually jump back and forth between them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, pretty much like I kind of just play out the feel for a season and kind of just like, oh, I just have a puffy this season, or oh, I have a normal steez this season. And both of them honestly have their place. I've kind of given up on like playing on the tail and all of them and stuff. And so like I had the puffy for the whole Chile trip. And like, dude, if I could only have one kayak in the world and like I didn't have the option of having the OG or
Yeah,
anything, if it was the OG or the steez, I would have a puffy steez all day long
I could
because
see
I
that.
mean
Could you still
the
get it
whole
vertical,
Chile
by the
trip.
way?
Yeah, on the right seam, yes, but like, man, I'm just gonna tear myself apart if I'm trying to do stern squirts all day. It's just not, you know,
Yeah, I
it's not
paddled.
the boat for stern squirts.
Yeah, I paddled the puppy stees just briefly, and I agree with you, man. It's like so good, and I was like, that boat is just they just nailed it. I mean, the stees in general, just the design in general. Now, why did you not use the stees with the pod?
Man, so we actually have a skis pod in our garage right now, and it's an ornament. I need to actually go out and try it out,
I mean, the
but
good
right
thing
now
is
it's
like
just hanging up
I
in our
got
garage.
it's like just put it in the background somewhere. Just grab it and
Yeah,
put it in the background.
exactly. Yeah, we moved into this new house not too well, I guess like 6 months ago, and I was trying to put it up in the living room, but nobody was really down with it, so it's in the
Yeah,
garage right now.
it's not as decorative as what we think it is. It's funny because I want like boat parts and paddles. I think I got a broken, two broken paddles over here and a Nomad that blew apart. And I was like, oh no, I want that. Yeah, I'm just gonna
Yeah,
put it
right.
back here, just something to look at. And it's like, oh, that thing's so
Yep.
tacky looking. I was like, no, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. My buddy William, he's got a broken paddle that was sitting in the living room. I was like, oh, I'll use
That's
it
what I'm
as
saying.
decor. Why not?
Well,
So
yeah. So when do you decide like what would make you decide to go puffy stees over normal stees?
I think if you're really not able to have like a creek boat with you at all times, like, so obviously flying to Chile, I'm not going to bring two boats, and I knew that I was going to be going down to the Fuda, going to the Fui. I was going to be doing some creeking in Pucon. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just, that's some of the best half slicing, like these new designs of, well, I guess Waka is an older design of, that creek
Yeah.
slice style stuff. Man, it's just like, I feel like that is the country for a creek slice. And so I figured if it was going to be the only thing that I had, I'm not going to be sweating about if I can't do a stern squirt, you know what I mean? Or if it's harder to do a stern squirt or this and that. So the puffy definitely like carried me through on everything. It was just even like creaking on the Nevados and stuff. It's it's real tight, creaky lines in there and everything. And I mean, I felt great. I felt like I
Did
had a
you ever
stern
get
as far as
stern
I was
blasted
concerned.
up? I mean, did it ever go up and vertical with you and over like a normal
On
half slice does?
on the Fuda, yes, and on the Fui, yes.
See some of the stuff that you paddled down there.
Uh-huh.
Dude, this looks awesome. And you're in the puffy stees here, and it looks like you're using the Warner Shogun. Is that your go-to paddle now?
Oh my god, best freaking paddle in the world. Like
Uh, they, they're good.
I like it. I think that it's like, obviously if I was to go and do some racing or something like that from like the Warner lineup, or even, like I think a Gala Sport is great for racing and things of that sort. But man, like if you're like planning to do play boating, river running, waterfalls and everything, I think the Shogun is just like so good all
Yeah.
around that it's like a
It's probably
no-brainer for me to
Warner's
have that
best
in my
paddle
lineup.
ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's great. I had a stealth for a bit. I like the stealth and everything. It just, I don't know. I think I just ended up getting rid of it because I like the Shogun for an all-around feel, all in
Yeah,
all. But
I had several Odachis that I went through, and it kind of turned me off on Warner a little bit. Then I went to
mhm,
the Surge for a while, and then broke those. But still, the Shogun. I tell anybody, I was like, man, the Shogun's just too durable. I mean, I know
yeah, it's
you're
just,
like me. You've used a lot of paddles too. You probably, I think you had a Letman for a while. You broke it in the
yeah.
middle. You went on about breaking your, and I was like, hey, you can't backload it. Why are you backloading it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, back to the Fui. It's like,
Yeah,
honestly, that was my favorite
I got the
style.
video. I got the video pulled up, and there was some red boat doing circles in a hole with nobody in it. What happened there?
Oh my god! So that is my roommate Johnny Macfield Hacker, or Johnny Macfeld Hacker. He basically didn't want to walk the extra 10 feet to the easy seal launch. And
Oh
so he
yeah.
decided to get in under this tree just so he could go surf the wave again. If you go and you walk the extra 10 feet, you get to pretty much like have the nice lead in and everything.
And then right here, there's just a
Should
random
be.
person coming up. And I'm like, look at that. It's just like doing donuts. And
Yeah,
I
dude,
seen him
that was
standing
so
there.
funny. Yeah, he's saying there, he's like, what the the funny thing was I just see it go in and it's doing all these things. And honestly, like first thought is to like, okay, go downstream, but then I see it's doing perfect 360s. And I just like, I'm honestly frozen in amazement that it's doing what it's doing. And so you see this rapid afterwards. This is maybe 300 yards downstream or something like that.
From
I
that,
mean,
did the boat go over that?
the boat almost went over that.
Oh
And that
God,
would have been
that might have
like
been
honestly a
done for.
disaster.
It could have
It
been
very well,
gone forever.
yeah, there's about four more ledges, kind of like all of that, like power and nature and everything like that. That,
Yeah, there he
yeah,
is.
the
There's the
boat might have been
boat.
gone.
Vana, what is
This is
that?
him right here. This is J Mac. That is
Roof.
a Waka OG.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He
So
almost
yeah,
lost it forever.
yeah, man. So
What's going on
there's
here? What are you doing there?
oh man, I got a little pinched right there,
Oh,
and I got pinned for a minute. And swimming out the backside of that eddy would have been like honestly really really scary. Like it looked like kind of just like a dumb little pin, but I was like, man, if I was alone right there and I like couldn't wedge myself out, that would have been really bad. It was just like one of those like really dumb,
oh, that
sneaky
looks like a stout hole right
situations.
there. There look like there's some stout holes on this.
And yeah, man, this whole like La Leona sequence is, I mean, all these are back to back to back to back,
God,
and
yeah. If you
like
were out of your boat swimming that, jeez.
yeah, yeah, it's and like the nature of this river is so much kind of like big water style in between all of these ledges. And so that was kind of really what I love the puffy stees on it, because you know, like when you're in big water, like it's so fun to have like a little bit of slice to your kayak.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like loading the tail and moving the bow around. I agree.
yeah.
Paddle came out of your hand there. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's
You're
bad, man.
getting
It's sometimes
work
I have
done.
this.
Just turn the video off, and now you're getting work.
Yeah, right. It's bad. Sometimes you do these kick flips and you only got one paddle in one hand. You're not really
Why
sure
do
how
you
to.
not run tape on your paddle? Do you just not like tape?
I do love tape. It's black electrical tape.
Oh, I can't. Oh, I see it now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Now I see you're rolling. I see it. Okay. I didn't know if you
yeah,
had any tape on there because usually, your hands you got it on both sides too.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I've never been able to paddle a paddle without tape. Like some of these guys get these new Lettmans, like straight shafts, and they Riley Spoon. He is like the king of raw dogging kayaking. Like
I,
he just
dude.
won't use tape or anything. I put a hand on that paddle and it's like instantly, whoop, like
And
I
have you ever, I don't know, have you ever hit that not that flip switch on your hand right there? I slid down one time when I first got it and I put a hole right in my hand right there. That could
yeah,
have
man.
ruined my day. Imagine
Yep.
just poking a hole and ripping all of that out. The whole rest of the day you would have had trouble. And it was all because it was brand new and I didn't have tape on it. Yeah, I'm like, why the hell
Yep.
would you not tape it up?
Exactly. I've sliced my hand as well. I've actually also like I gave myself a black eye whenever I was at the Little White. There was some rock or something like that that my paddle got wedged in, and my face like went directly into that clamp thing, and like put a little like hole right here down below my eye, and then bruised my
Man,
whole
what a
eye
way of
up.
losing an eyeball on that thing. Yeah, make sure it's
Yeah,
closed
right.
all the way. If not, it's pointing straight in your face.
Yeah, I actually, if I do use a clamp, I like to tape it down, just so it doesn't come up or anything like that,
Yeah,
because my hands are always moving. It's like hitting my spray skirt and opening up. So, yeah, if I'm ever using a clamp, I like to tape it down.
do you like a two-piece paddle over a one piece or what?
Oh
Or
man, so yes, I like it for when I hike in and I can shove it to the back of my kayak, because I hate carrying my boat. I don't know what it is about it. I do a lot of California carry
I like
whenever I carry
paddling
my
more than
boat.
carrying. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
personally,
yeah.
I like being on
But
the water.
yeah, I like carrying my boat with like I have it over. I put the seat on my head and everything, and I grab here. I don't know if it's long term bad for your neck or not, or if it looks like I'm a pansy walking to the put in, but I don't care. It's it feels a little bit better. But yeah, I like having a two piece for that purpose. But outside of that, just like as far as waterfalls and things like that go, I if I had just a one piece, I'm gonna use a one piece, you know.
And you're
So
and you're almost all Shogun now, right? So you're just
yeah,
like Warner
exactly.
Shogun. Yeah, well, that
Yeah,
makes sense. I mean, it's a solid blade. It just does everything good. I mean,
yeah,
I still say it's Warner's best paddle they've ever made.
yeah.
Um, I
I like it a
I
lot.
Yeah, I've actually looked over that paddle a lot, and they've done some things on there that was very interesting. That they actually curled the edges up. I don't know if you ever watched it going through water. Like watch it going through water real clear. I filmed it going through water, and it creates
Uh-huh.
little eddies off the back. It looks so cool. I get fascinated. I geek out on that kind of stuff. I clamped a GoPro to my paddle and watched it going through the water, and then just came
Yeah.
home and watched it. Other people are watching football, and I'm here watching paddle strokes through the water, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen that.
No, man. I like that kind of stuff too. It's funny. I'll sometimes whenever I'm doing like flat water out on the Tennessee River and stuff when we don't have water, I'll be paddling, and then once I'm like done doing my sprint or whatever, I'll drag my paddle through the water. And what it'll do is you'll see it create like a surf wave behind it, like that dip that you make in the water, all the water from behind it crashes over. And it's just like I can't
It's just
help it.
like
Imagine a little
fascinating.
mini foamy boater in there.
So do you just go out and do like flat water stuff? I mean, maybe not as much as you do now, but when you first started.
Yeah, man, that was like bread and butter for me. Like I wanted a kayak. I still want a kayak so bad all the time. But like, man, it was like January, like freezing, and I would just get in my dry suit and go bring my rock star out there. And I was like, I don't know how to do this move. Something to do today, and all I need is flat water. So that was like something I really focused on in my first year. Like I just did so much flat water freestyle. And like I was really lucky to have Bennett Smith around
That's true.
whenever I was learning, because man, I don't know if you go back in his like deep of his YouTube, it's called like Real Crazy Stuntman or something like that. It was like a YouTube name from forever ago. Man, him and Hunter Kadich have like the most bonkers flat water
It's
routines
insane.
and stuff ever. Like you think you're good at flat water, you're
You
not,
just
man.
got
You're
to
not.
paddle with those guys. I remember, yeah, I paddled with both those guys, and it's like it's crazy. And you can kind of see, I seen their style kind of rubbing off on you too. You know, you got your own style, but it's like you see that dude is just so solid. And then
It's
Bennett just come up
crazy.
with the craziest stuff downriver freestyle, and I love that. I'm a big down, and you are too. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like if you tell me I'm going to be sitting in a play spot for 5 hours, I'm like, But if you tell me we're going to paddle down river and we're going to roll off of rocks and we're going to do something, try to loop holes and we're in creek boats, I'm like, sign me up. I'm like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I definitely prefer like the downriver stuff with eddy access, I guess. I don't know. We do a lot of like creative stuff on Bowling Alley,
yeah,
which is
bowling
like our
alley for what?
local.
If people don't know, the North Chick is a area right there in Chattanooga. I paddled North Chick several times, and there's a section of North Chick that a lot of locals, like Shane here, he's the bowling alley's good training ground.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. It's not stout by any means, but you know, it's such a place of creativity for us. Like, I don't know, like if we don't have water or anything like that, like it can come up with just a little bit of water. Like usually we have a whole good week of
Yeah,
paddling or maybe a couple good days, and then bowling alley is in for the next 5 days.
yeah,
You
because
know, that's
it
just
can
like
be paddled very high and very low.
yes, yes,
Yeah. And how
exactly.
far are you away from that area? Are you close? Were you about 45 minutes?
20 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah. So and that area is such a great area for creek boating, especially.
yeah.
And that's,
It's so awesome.
yeah, man. What kind of vest are you using? I know you're paddling big water. Have you used that Astral Ingdis vest? Have you used that one yet?
No, I have not used the Indus yet. My roommate got one. They look pretty slick. I actually just started working with Astro, so I would imagine that I would probably get one soon. But man, the green jacket's just so good. Like
Yeah.
if
I
it
tell
ain't
you,
broke, don't fix it, you know?
yeah, the green jacket is really good. I mean, I definitely switched over to the Hiko vest. I really like those a lot too. But the
Uh-huh.
green jacket's such a solid vest. But I'm telling you right now, if you're ever in big water and out of your kayak, I would want that Indus vest on. I have one now, and I swam around on it, dude. I felt like I was waist high out of the river. I was like, whoa, this is
Oh,
crazy. You
really?
feel like you just definitely get one. Like obviously paddling that stuff I just seen you on. If anything happened, you'd want to be
Mhm.
above the surface as much as possible.
Right.
Because I mean, flush drowning is definitely a real issue on something
Oh,
like that,
yeah.
getting sucked down. But having one of those vests on is where I think I was wondering. I thought you used a green jacket. I thought that's what you
Yeah.
used, and
I've
um,
pretty consistently used the green jacket and like the white TV just for like freestyle
yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, I'm not wearing a white TV on any class five. That's no sense in it, you know?
You run anything special in your vest? You got anything crazy in there? You got like a
Uh,
special locket or something?
just some granola bars and other things and trinkets, you know what I mean?
I
But
was wondering. I was wondering. You got your vest there. I was wondering you had something like You're like, I never live without this.
well, actually, one thing that I do really love carrying is one of those little keys for the wakas and everything. Like somebody needs a seatbelt change or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh,
That's aside from
the
like all your normal stuff. Like
it's
man,
a
it's always
four
nice
four
when somebody
millimeter
has.
four
Yeah.
millimeter Allen key, right? Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
That's a good
So
thing to have. Yeah, especially
yeah, man.
if one breaks or slides. If you piton something and move it, then you can always move it back.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Or if a
And one
rock
other
falls on you, you had a rock fall on you on the Cascades.
dude,
Tell us
that was
about that.
like I've always like had the thought whenever I'm like paddling around stuff in like gorges and stuff, I like look around, I'm like, man, what if this just like totally crushed me right
I
now?
thought that
and,
same thing. I was
and
like,
it's like,
this would be the worst time for a mudslide. We just be
yeah, right. Yeah. It's the chances are literally less than 1 in a million, less than one in a freaking 10 billion, you know? And yeah, I was paddling the Cascades that day and just ended up going through Chinese feet. And there's that right slot that you go through, and it's like it's usually fine. You
yep.
can wheelchair right through it. I had like a little weird angle like between one rock and the other. And I remember I was pushing off some rocks on the bank or something just to turn around and back ferry out of there.
You bumped
And
it a little too hard.
I bumped it a little too hard. And yeah, dude, that thing came crashing down. And I remember I just sat there for a second. I was like, why?
Luckily,
What?
luckily it was below the bulkhead too, or it would have got your feet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I am freestyle kayaking size, and my legs were not that far into the
Were you
into the bulkhead.
that was a brand new Stoke, wasn't it?
Yeah, man, that was so sad. I was like, why me? Why me? Oh
And it
man,
crushed the
yeah,
whole front of that Stoke in. Have you
yep.
yeah, on back to the boat. So what do you feel as the Stoke over the OG? To me, I thought the Stoke was a slightly improved OG. I would take a Stoke over an OG, but I do like the OG a lot. From someone that's paddled both. I mean, you've paddled both of them.
Yeah. So they they definitely like both have their place for me. Right now, I just have a Steez and an OG, but I definitely want to get another Stoke. The Stoke is obviously faster, came from like just a mix of the OG and the Steez and everything. But I had both the OG and the Stoke like when I was in Idaho, and then I also had the Stoke and the OG back here at home. So I think the Stoke, I like the Stoke whenever it has rocks to work with,
Okay.
honestly. Like if you're doing like some more creaky stuff like the Cascades and everything, like if I was paddling the Cascades, I would love a Stoke more than an OG. But yeah, man, like I noticed whenever I had rocks to work with the Stoke and everything, I really liked it a lot better. But if I'm like out on some big water stuff, I like the OG. It doesn't go to say that the Stoke doesn't work for that, but like I don't know, I just like how much shorter the OG is than the Stoke. Feels
They
like the
call it
Stoke
the
kind of likes
slow
the
G.
yeah the slow G, but you kind of want that sometimes.
How does it do when you were in the PNW? Because I know you've done several PNW trips. What do you like up there, the Stees or the OG?
Hmm. Depends on the time of the year, I guess, because if you're going and paddling the L-Dub and the Trust, like at kind of like early summer flows and just coming out of like the rainy season,
Yeah,
I would love to have a Steez out there, like the Steez is just so freaking good. Yeah, I guess it just depends because like I personally am not in the crowd that goes, and I haven't been up there for like when the PNW is firing or anything like that. And I don't even know if I would put on for a high water L-Dub lap just yet because I don't
like
even
those
know the river like
5 foot
that.
laps.
Yeah, but you see all those guys out there. What are they paddling on those 5 foot
They're
laps?
almost
I mean,
all
it's
in
all
Waterfall.
OGs. It's
Yep,
all OGs, and
or
so
Scorch
it's
X's now.
yeah, true. Scorch X is pretty big out there. Yeah, I'm not gonna like deny that any other boat is good or anything like that. Like that's just stupid to do. Scorch X, sick boat.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah, I see a lot of OGs out there, but I'm pretty sure there's one guy out there, Owen Doyle. I think he did a five
yeah.
foot lap in a Steez or something like that recently. Oh my God, that's savage. It's not practical at all, but savage.
What's your favorite kind of place to paddle? Like right now, I don't, and I know you've been paddling 2.5, 3 years at most. I think you've done more in 2.5, 3 years than some people have done in 20. Just so you know. Actually, just so everybody knows, Shane could stop kayaking now and never kayak again, and you guys probably still wouldn't catch up with him as far as River's done,
Oh man,
which is
thank
awesome.
you,
That's
thank you.
awesome that you can experience that. And have you ever did you do any sports or anything when you were younger?
Yeah, so I guess one thing I definitely credit to my like foundation of like freestyle and everything like that is definitely I was never like in gymnastics competitions or anything like that, but we
Mm,
definitely always had a trampoline outside and everything. And
that
like
makes
we
sense.
were we were big on like doing flips and everything. So,
You're not
you know,
afraid to
like
be turned upside down and thrown different directions.
yeah, I know that if I turn my head one way, the body's gonna follow.
Yeah.
I understand that. So yeah, it was gymnastics when it was like early on. I played football through high school. I quit like freshman year to just keep lifting weights and cutting grass for my lawn care company.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And dude, I was just a straight up meathead until I was like 21. And that's what I came into kayaking doing. And so once I found kayaking, I was kayaking so much that I was like, oh man, this 24/7 gym stuff is not functional at all. You know
No,
what I
it's
mean?
not.
Like,
You want to be
yeah.
like lean. You just want a good
Mm-hmm.
lean build. That's what I'd found out. And I didn't. I actually want to lean down because I was in that same probably category as you. I was like, I'd be in the gym and I'd want to 245 for five. I'd be like deadlifting. And I'm like, man, that does not correlate well for kayaking.
No, man, not at all. So yeah, that was pretty much and I noticed that like as I lost muscle, I got better at kayaking, but I was also kayaking for a longer period of time. But once I stopped like just doing like all these static movements all the time, like, and I started just really going kayaking every day, then I got better at kayaking. It's funny that you don't think like people are like, what gym stuff can I do to get better at kayaking? I'm like, go kayaking, man. It's
There you go. That's Shane's workout advice right there. How to get better at kayaking. That's what I say. Well, just go kayaking.
yeah,
Even if it's
and it's
flat water, just paddling around the tennis, just going out doing freestyle, throwing your boat around. But one
yeah.
thing that I mean, have you warded off injuries? I mean, have you had any shoulder or back or anything issues like that on drops? I mean, have you been pretty good on that? Because you've been pushing at a really high level.
I've I've had one shoulder injury and I subluxed my shoulder. I was at Rock Island. It was actually the day before I left for Boise, Idaho. I was going to the
It's
North
usually
Fork
when
and
it
I was like,
happens.
oh, just one last paddle, man. Like, let's do some freaking waterfall freestyle. And so, yeah, I was doing something and I was getting surfed in the curtain of the waterfall and I was just like bracing on it. And it was probably due to bad form or something like that. I might have just been out here, but I remember I went to brace and then my paddle just dove and I felt it like go down and just sublux.
You're like,
And
oh
so,
no, no, no.
yeah, that was such a bad like timing for the injury, such a bad injury and everything. But thankfully, like no full on sublux or anything. I always at least make sure I do hamstring and hip mobility stuff before every paddle, or else like it's kind of tight and everything. But yeah, I've never like boofed something so hard or anything like that and taken a big hit that I'm like, oh, my back's out for a
Yeah, that's
week now or anything.
because one reason I asked you that is because usually this was just a theory of mine. Another one of my corny theories is that usually if you can get muscle mass, like if you're like into like more muscle mass, and even when you get into kayaking, I think the muscle mass kind of helps ward off injuries a little better than someone that just is a little like not as like as much muscle. I see usually a lot of guys that's blowing their shoulders out just don't really have big, broad shoulders. They're just like pulling them
Yeah.
out. I mean, when I'm talking about like completely reconstructive surgery,
Yeah.
I've popped mine here and there, but man, I mean, I've never really had any major injuries at all. Couple of scares, but
Never
nothing.
really.
Yeah, just like some back issues here and there, but nothing like broken bones or bad injuries. I mean, just been lucky or just been good. I don't know. Sometimes being
Look at
lucky is
you.
being good. So, and
Genetically blessed Wade Harrison. There
yeah.
you
So,
go.
well, it's the same thing. Also, is I'll do a little warm up and I do yogas here and there a few times a week. And I was just like you. I used to go to the gym a lot, but I won't like if I have a gym membership now and I maybe go twice a month, if that, and I'm running on the treadmill.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, I just need to get stamina up. I'm like, I'm just here for stamina. I don't even want to lift those weights, guys.
No, dude, straight up. Anytime I've like had some times where I'm like, oh, I want to get back into lifting weights. It'd probably be good. And then I get like so sore, and then some rain comes, and I'm like paddling. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God. And I'm like, dude, why did I even do this? Like, it just makes no sense to
You
me.
almost ruined my paddling.
But I think like maybe keeping up with like push-ups, pull-ups, and like core stuff is definitely like no harm in that. That was my program before Chile was push-ups, pull-ups, running, and abs. and like shoulder mobility with bands and stuff. But like, man, I'm not grabbing 100-pound dumbbells anymore
No.
and bench
Or
like
I think you do.
no
You're
need.
right that you do more damage doing that stuff than you actually you do any positive for paddling. For paddling,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I think it's kind of a waste for for me anyway. Anybody, you can do whatever you want, but I'm telling anybody else, I'm like for paddling. I think being lean and having good stamina, and maybe like you're talking about, some good core exercises, push
Mhm.
ups, and all that. What would you recommend someone? You know, because you got into paddling, what would you recommend for anybody just getting into paddling that's like, oh, I want to be like Shane someday?
No, no, I hope they don't say that. There's so many better people to look up to, man. Um, let's see. Honestly, I think the things that did me best was like, don't be afraid to like ask stupid questions to people. I remember like one of the first things I asked in a Facebook group for paddling was, hey, is it okay to spray paint my kayak if I don't like the color of it? And people were like, please don't do that. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. So even just
Had to
like,
ask.
yeah,
That's a
right.
legit
But
question.
outside of that kind of stuff, man, like flat water freestyle is always there. Like you don't need rain for flat water freestyle. I think learning freestyle basics is, you don't have to get good at it or anything like that. But if you can learn the basics and then know what it feels like to like gain comfort while you're getting like worked in a hole. Oh, dude, like I would, if there's somebody who's been paddling for 10 years, but they freak out when they get in a hole, I'd rather take the guy that's been paddling for 6 months. That's not like, that's okay getting throttled and he can work his way out of that. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I think being able to just be comfortable when it goes down is everything.
Yeah, and
So
another thing you do, I noticed I would see you out even like on the Akoi, and you'd be in kind of like your steez instead of like a full slice, or you'd still paddle your little potato boat every now and then. But kind of what you're exactly to your point there. I would much rather someone like if you know how to handle yourself. I'm not trying to get better at freestyle. I'm just trying to get better at getting out of a bad hole. It's like,
right.
yeah. So if you're getting worked in a hole and you're like, oh, here's the current, how to know get out. That's what that freestyle does for you. Well, that's good
Yeah.
advice. Um,
I think it definitely like it encourages. I, one thing that I see a lot is some people get stuck in a hole and they sit there and they think like kind of side surfing for as long as they can is going to do something. No, man, freestyle teaches you that if you start just throwing stuff down, that water's going to work with you to like eject you out or something like that. Like if people can just learn that sometimes it is okay to just like go for a back loop if you're stuck in a hole, you know what I mean? That might be the one that
go for a
shoots you
loop.
out. Yeah, don't just sit there. If you know how to roll, freaking start rolling. Sometimes when I get in a bad hole, I just go upside down and I
And
put
just
my paddle out and I'll just
yeah.
paddle. You know what I mean? Like, dude, just do something. You can't just sit there. It won't do anything for you, you know?
Yeah, I have something that I call the crucifixion. So you can imagine what that is. I'll go and I'll roll upside down and just hold where the blades are doing this, and I'm just holding the blades kind of like I'm being crucified up with my paddle above my head. Probably gonna
Yeah,
blow my
yeah.
shoulders out one day, but I'm like, and
Yeah,
I'm
man,
just
it works.
waiting. Yeah, and you're right. You could, and then I'll start trying to do this with my paddle blade, and because you know where you can pull yourself out of a hole. Yeah, there's something
Yeah,
to that, man. There's something to that, and when you remove that, I guess that what that did for you when you remove that swim, component. Now you're like, oh, the sky's the limit. You've seen a
yeah,
hole when you're like, I can get out of that. Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
worried about
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's interesting. Like I remember. Here's a funny story actually. Going back to my shoulder dislocation, whenever I was in Idaho, basically I had been recovering off the shoulder injury and everything, and I had given it like 2 weeks, which for a sublux, 2 weeks is probably not enough at all. I I was kind of confident that it might not
What
come
time
out
of
if
year was
nothing.
this, by the way?
This was
What
in the
month?
summer. It's maybe June,
So right
something like
around
that.
peak
Yes.
Idaho time. Yeah. Okay. Just
Yeah.
so
The
people
South.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. South Fork was high, and I had been like kind of paddling around like at the Whitewater Park and everything in Boise, like kind of just like feeling my shoulder out and
At
everything.
Kelly's,
And
Kelly's Park. Is that where you're
No, it's
talking?
actually the Boise one. There's a Boise park that
Okay.
actually has like a surfer's wave some days and then a freestyle
I've not
kayak
been to
wave
that
some
one.
days. It's not bad. It's really not bad at all. It's fun to have right there if you're living in Boise. But anyways, that was kind of what I was doing to recover, kind of just paddling around everything, not doing anything too bad. And then I remember I was just going out to the North Fork and the South Fork every weekend, kind of
Hmm.
just like, oh, I want to be here. I'm injured, but I want to be here. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna bring my kayak, whatever. And I got convinced to put on actually no, I convinced myself to put on for a South Fork lap whenever it was high. And
This was your
I was
first trip
asking,
ever there, by the way, right?
yes,
Okay.
this is my first time. I think it was my first time down the South Fork, and I was coming off the shoulder injury, whatever. And we made it pretty much most of the way down at this point, and it was high. It was fun. Like I asked Hayden Voorhees is leading me down. I was like, is there anywhere that I might swim here, like, or get worked in a hole? Because if I get worked in a hole, I don't want to go because I don't want to hurt my shoulder. You know what I mean? I can paddle straight and do a
Hmm.
roll when I need to, but if I get worked, like it's probably not smart. And he's like, there's one hole out here. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. We do the run. I'm having fun. Like it's going great and everything. And I end up we go through this last one. I think it's like Keeney. No, it's not Keeney's. I can't remember the name of it. Um, but Seymour's hole. That's what it's called, Seymour's.
Okay.
And South Fork was up, and I remember I went into Seymour's, and it was high, and I'm just getting worked. I'm getting worked, and then I just like am sitting there for a moment, like upright surfing, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna blow my shoulder out, and like I'm gonna like completely dislocate it.
Now,
And
what
so
boat
I'm
were you
literally,
in this one?
I was in the OG.
You was in okay.
Yeah, and so I'm pretty locked in at that point, you know. And I'm sitting there, I'm side surfing, and I was like, dude, I either dislocate my shoulder or I swim right now. And you literally see I'm upright. You can see me upright, and I pull my skirt and jump out of my kayak, and I swim the rest of that rapid. And oh my god, that was like the biggest hello to Idaho ever. Just the dry skirt pull is something to
And
be
then
ashamed
swimming
for
in that big
ages.
of water like that too. You're like,
Yes,
whoa.
dude. Yeah, luckily I was with that awesome crew. Like they
And
were
but
right
everything
on
was
it and everything.
contained, paddle and everything. Yeah.
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 It,
So
it
that's
was
good.
not like the worst swim ever or anything like that. But oh man, it's so funny looking back on that GoPro, seeing myself. I'm
I
just
think
like,
you
you see the
posted that on
hesitation.
Facebook or something, didn't you? I
It's
think you
probably
post.
somewhere,
Yeah, I
man.
think you posted that. You didn't put it on YouTube, but I think you put it on Facebook somewhere. I think I remember that going
Yeah.
around. I was like, "Oh no, he's getting his ass kicked in that hole."
Yeah. That's definitely like top three most shameful swims that I got.
No, 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 that's probably a good idea because you're right. I mean, because you did that, you probably didn't overexert that shoulder and just completely trash it out. And
Yeah.
I guess it just started healing on its own, right? And so you stayed around Idaho. Did you go on up to the PNW during that trip?
Yeah, I actually did go for the 4th of July over there, which is or the week before 4th of July.
Mhm.
So that was really fun. I freaking love it over there. And whenever I went home, I went down through California to come back home. And so I pretty much went and
Oh, you
ran
drove.
Upper
So you
Cherry.
drove just by yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so I was up there for like a construction internship kind of type
Yep.
deal. And they were like paying for my gas home. So I was like,
It
oh,
worked
cool,
out.
man. Yeah. So I did my California tour on my expenses. And then, you know, I had the rest of the trip home free. But yeah, I went and I did Upper Cherry over there, was my first stop. And then did Upper Middle Kauai, which is really awesome. And then I went down to Kernville. That was my last stop in California. And oh my God, dude, Kernville is like,
Dude,
that is
yeah,
just stoutest
I've been wanting to
kayaking.
get on that. And what people, just so everybody knows, it's called the Cataracts of the Kern, and it's in Kernville, which I think is northeast of Los Angeles, right? I think you got LA
It's,
right here.
I know it's near Bakersfield. That's really all I know.
Yeah, so you got Bakersfield. I mean, maybe that's where I'm thinking of Bakersfield, and it's like northeast, and it's like, oh, it just looks like just amazing. It's like big water, massive
It's,
holes.
it's like if the North Fork's like craziness had more structure to it. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know how to describe it. Like everything was so big and so mean, but there was lines everywhere that was like, you could make it, it felt like the consistency of a creek, but with like big water in it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you were out there when Dane was out there too, right?
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
like the best guide you
So
could ever
that was
ask
I was
for.
like that worked out perfect.
Yeah, man, him and
Yeah,
Brent over there. That
I
was
seen
like
the
dream
video.
team
Yeah,
guides. God, that was
yeah.
you
So
couldn't ask
that
for it anymore.
yeah, that you timed that just perfect, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been wanting that run for a while. It just looks amazing, and it's one of those. I mean, it's all roadside, right? Isn't it all
Yeah.
roadside? Yeah, just like
Yeah, but
right
that
there. But yeah, I would definitely want like a solid guide out there. Oh yeah,
um
you ran down in Chile. You ran dim shits, right?
yeah, them shits is awesome. Oh man. That is such a like a sequence of a waterfall, man. That's
Because what a
insane.
lot of people see, they just see the drop, but isn't the lead in stout on that? It's not like
Yeah.
your typical, just kind of like, but you being like a Southeast paddler, that's kind of right up your realm. Those
Yeah,
drops,
Nevados
like,
is like, oh, dude, yeah, the Nevados is just like those clean moves, and like whenever you have like the green like super dial, and it's like, oh, you know exactly what's gonna happen. It's kind of
yeah,
like there's the potential for that on the Nevados.
I'm sure you watched videos before you went. You knew exactly what to
Yeah,
expect. So, I mean,
for
it's
sure.
not like back in the old days, you just went and just figured it out. I'll watch
Yeah,
5 YouTube videos and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Let's go. I was like, we just
yeah,
need to be left right here. I was
yeah.
like, that's all we need to do.
There were a
Would you
couple.
say
He
that's
can't.
your would you say that's your favorite place to paddle?
Oh my God, dude! Like the
Or
style over there is just. It's exactly what I have like dreamed of paddling since I started kayaking. Like you just go there, and my thing is I really love blue water. I love
hmm
waterfalls, and I like just it has the option of creaky and big water. Like having Fuda and things like the Nevados in one trip is just like, dude, such like each end of the spectrum, like so quality. And yeah, dude, I think that if I was to live anywhere outside of the country, it's definitely Chile because travel logistics are insanely easy. Um, not not many people speak English, honestly.
yeah.
So that's like if you're decent at Spanish, you'll be fine. But dude, pretty cheap. A lot of people want to say like Chile is kind of expensive, but
Yeah, it's like
honestly,
anywhere. It's like saying Chattanooga's expensive. I was like, I don't know. I could take you to some trailer
Chattanooga is
parks.
expensive,
I could
man.
take you some
It,
trailer parks in Chattanooga where people are paying $300 a month rent, and you're like, well, there is
oh man,
levels to it.
I bet they're
Let me
still charging twelve
let me
dollars a beer over there.
let me take you over to Gun Barrel Road or wherever that is,
Yeah,
and let's go over there.
right.
When I used to go to Chattanooga, that's a different area.
Probably.
Is there a
It's
bucket list waterfall that you got to try that
oh,
class 6 out on, by the way? Now
La
you did
Leona looks like an awesome waterfall.
the
That one like
what was the name of it again? Say that again.
La Leona. Annual first did that
In
couple
Chile?
years ago. Yeah, I'm not too sure where it's got that. It's the one that Dane back freewheeled. It's like 90 or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I'd like to run a few more waterfalls before I run that one and everything. I'm not saying I'm good to go on it right now or anything, but yeah, that's like that looks like such a beautiful
Now
waterfall. It's,
that's another skill set that you kind of like just threw yourself into. What give everybody an idea what you kind of came up with on running drops over like 50 feet. I have a feeling that 50 feet is that area where it starts getting you need to really kind of like know what you're doing. I get a feeling at 30 to 40, you could kind of just wing it a little bit, but you start getting it depends on the drop, obviously, but you start getting
yeah.
over 50 foot, you need to know when to throw your paddle, when to hang on, when to pull. How did you develop that like free fall so quickly? Just is it just watching other people or was it just trial and error?
I've watched a lot of you. I've definitely watched a lot of YouTube. Like I take a lot of inspiration from obviously Dane and Annual and EG and
Yeah.
Annual. Like they oh man, they just have the craziest waterfall styles. I think it's so awesome. But yeah, I think one of the rivers that I can attribute most of the progression to is the Rio Oro in Mexico. And you've been down
Oh,
there, right?
oh yeah. Rio Oro.
Yeah,
That's down Humuka. No, it's close to the coast. Isn't that the one that runs into the
to the ocean.
ocean? Yeah, it
Yeah,
runs into the Atlantic. So if what people just to give you an idea, I can't remember the name of the town it's in, but it's south of Veracruz. It's south of Veracruz, and you run the Costa de Oro, right? Is what it's called, and it runs into the Atlantic, the Gulf of Mexico. And
it's so awesome.
it's got one waterfall on there that's just beautiful,
It's got
safe, and
two.
it's got two. You're right. It's got back. They're back to back. They're
Yeah.
back to
And so
back.
that first one is a tuck. And so
It's a
that's where you can
cauldron.
learn to
It's
like,
like a circle like this, like a half moon that comes off, and it's very
yeah.
safe. That's where you started learning.
Yeah, exactly. I went with Isak. I think you know Isak, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So Isak was my guide out there, and yeah, he gave me all the pointers and everything, made everything look so good. And yeah, that was just one of those that because you kind of come out of this eddy and then you
Hmm.
go and you peel into it, and you kind of have to like take one of those leaning strokes, like you're kind of on edge while you're setting your angle, and so you got to be like real still and just like kind of let the water do what it's gonna do, but be in as much control as you can. And so that was definitely one of those that was like, oh, okay, like this
And
is
you
this
figured
is
it
how it
out
goes.
there, and I mean, did you ran Tomato, right?
No, I did not run Tomato 1 or Tomato 2. No, I
Yeah.
didn't. I ran Silencio while I was there, but the
Yeah,
big
you got
one
kicked in
was
the cave on the left at Silencio on one of
yeah, a
them,
little
didn't you?
bit. Yeah, I wasn't like in it. I was on the side of it, but I just remember before I ran it, Isak was like, "Yeah, man, we've seen so many like pro kayakers swim here. Like, um, like I've seen like a minute of downtime." And I was like, "Oh, really?"
When it
And so
goes
I thought I was in the cave. I just
when it goes
pulled, and I
beautiful,
was
it
like,
goes beautiful. When it goes
"Yeah,
bad, it looks so bad. I was
yeah,
in that cave, so the same deal. I dropped off and I
really,
subbed out, and my skirt imploded, and I resurfaced upside down inside the cave. And it was pitch black, and I was like using my hands, fighting myself to get. I didn't swim. I had no skirt on, and I'm pulling myself out of that cave. And it's so brutal because it's one of those things like you see really good paddlers get screwed up there and have to swim out of it, and then you see people just style it, and you're like, oh, that
yeah,
looks so awesome. Well, I didn't style
yeah,
it.
yeah."
Your
It is.
line
It was
looked good
crazy.
though. Your line looked
It
really good coming off.
I think if I hadn't have stomped, maybe I wouldn't have like gotten so close to the cave or anything like that. Because I had a great line, and then I just remember, like last second, I was like, I'm gonna stomp, and that's kind of what made me lose all control of my landing. And I think that's probably the issue there. But
That's a
it's really crazy, like having gone to both Chile and Mexico. I feel like in Mexico, you're always looking over your shoulder for a cave or something like that. In Chile, I really don't remember anything that was like, oh, this is a massive cave over here, like huge sieve or this or that, or maybe we just didn't see them.
everything's
But
clean
honestly,
coming out, right?
it seemed like extremely clean, and like I personally don't get off on the kind of kayaking that is just rowdy because it's dangerous, because there's a sieve
Mm.
there, because there's a cave that I don't get off on that, honestly. If a rapid looks awesome and it happens to have a cave, then that's a decision for myself to make. And if I like it, I like it, but it's not what makes me run a rapid. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, 100%. Yeah.
So for
What do
sure.
you, where do you decide where to throw your paddle or hold on to it? Is that something that goes through your head?
Yeah, so I mean, I think like the general rule of thumb is, are you going to need it at the bottom? you know,
That's kind of important.
because yeah, if there's some stuff at the bottom that you might be floating into, I guess definitely keep your paddle. But like if you don't need to keep your paddle and you're like maybe above 50 or something like that, then I don't see why you shouldn't throw your paddle. Like if it's gonna maybe break over your face, or sometimes I've tugged and like felt like I've had a perfect line, and I end up like I hit the water and it just like rips me back, and so I think even if you have the most perfect line and your feather is just barely not lined up right on that entry, it can just
You're
get
saying
blown.
right where the gap of the paddle blade is on the boat might have that
Yeah,
much of a gap. Water could go under it.
yeah, I'm sure there's some people who like think about how, whatever. But if I'm flying 60 feet down, man, I'm not going to be able to peek my eye up and look and see if the feather's right. You know what I mean?
Do you close your
So,
eyes?
yeah, there's a weird thing. Like I've, I remember whenever I ran the Agua Azul, that was like my first like big waterfall. I think it was like maybe just around 60. I remember I'm falling. And I remember like I just barely like looked up at the bottom because I didn't realize that I would have this feeling of like, is this real? You know what I mean? Like you fall for a certain amount of time and then your brain is like, okay, is this even real at all? And you like
Wow.
want to look up and like open up. You know what I mean? I've heard a lot of other people talk about when they open up on waterfalls, it's just like what the body is wanting to do. It's like curious of like what's going on,
To, but you don't want to. You just want to keep your
Yeah,
face down. Do you put your face
yeah,
into your arm or what?
yeah. Like if I'm I've seen a lot of people like I like the waterfall style of if they're throwing their paddle. I've kind of had some trial and error in Chile with this. Um, I remember I went and whenever I threw my paddle on Tomatita, it's like a 45-foot waterfall or something like that.
Okay.
I had thrown my paddle and I didn't make a plan of what I was going to do with my hands. I don't know why.
What do I do with these?
I just was like, oh, just tuck up. And so I ended up like throwing it and like tucking like this, like a straight fist. And it like made my whole body open up in a way that I just didn't like on a landing.
Oh
And
no.
so
So
I
you're saying
realized
that
that
you're saying the double fisted is not the way to go.
no, cross the fist and bury your face
What
into
about
the,
grabbing the rim?
you can
I
grab
see
your
some
rim. It's
people grab the front of the rim.
for sure. I'm not the all knowing like on this, but like I've seen people grab the rim. I've seen people freaking grab the bottom of their boat. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I've
I've
seen
seen
that
Pat
too.
Keller do that one. Have you seen the Pat Keller video where he throws his paddle and grabs the bottom of his boat or something, and
On
he
what
hits a
drop?
reconnect? I
Oh,
don't know
gee,
what drop it is.
that would be my worst worry is I would come back into the falls and hit a rock and just
Yeah,
break all of your fingers.
I listened to my like top three waterfall runners earlier. Gotta freaking add Pat to that list. God, he's so calm and just makes it happen every time, man. He's insane.
Yeah, yeah, because you, I
So
mean, I'm sure you paddle with him. I paddle with him several times, and just watching him the way he picks a rapid apart, you're like, holy
mhm.
crap! It's just like finding a line that I didn't even think would work. I'd be like, I didn't even think I could go over there.
Yeah,
Well, there you
right.
go.
It's crazy. But yeah, back to the waterfall style. I mean, I pretty much one thing that I found was if I'm gonna throw, I like to throw, cross the arms, and like duck the head down into
Okay.
it, just so like I mean, because if you leave like this much room between your hand and your face and you hit, then you can hit that. But if it's all together, there's no room to, you know, like get knocked this way or that way. It's all together already. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I don't
and I
even.
mean, that's the beautiful thing about the sport is everybody can do it differently and end up all right. Let's just put that out
Well,
there.
it's like a lot of stuff. You you basically so many people. At one time they had the organ tuck. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that's like they like put it
Under
to the side and like
Well,
do like
that
some kind
they
of
did the Washington tuck. Remember that? You had the Oregon tuck, and then you had the Washington tuck. They would
yeah, yeah,
switch hands, and that looked
yeah.
really cool. I practiced that on like smaller drops, like just
Uh-huh.
practicing holding it. That looks really cool because it puts the paddle down in a nice position. So that one right there, if I had to hang on to the paddle or tossing it. What is another thing I want to ask you? What was one of the harder downriver freestyle tricks that you learned? Was it the Cobra row or was it anything else? Not the
Hmm.
Tennessee tomahawk. You know, everybody does that now. Everybody just flips off rocks all day long.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the Cobra flip is getting out of control now, huh?
Everybody does it.
It's
Well,
crazy.
yeah, every Joe Schmo's doing it now. But is there anything that that you're trying new that you're trying to figure out?
Let me think. I,
Have we
nothing like
reached a
super
point? Have we
new.
reached that point where there's really not that much to do? I know Kalen just did the double. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that on Tomato One. He did a
The double freewheel.
double freewheel.
Yeah,
That's pretty badass.
that one's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The orbit flip is like a super interesting one because that's kind of where you go and you almost rotate upon two axes. So
Didn't
you go
Aniel did that off of a drop down
spirit.
in Chile? He did it
I
down
think
in
it was
and maybe Spirit too.
yeah, he might have coined it at Spirit. I am not really too sure. I know he coined the double tomahawk or double kickflip on Tomatita. So that was like super cool too. He's a
Okay.
freaking that's so crazy. I think he might have the orbit flip, the cobra flip, and the double kick flip. That's crazy. Um, but yeah, the orbit flip is a really interesting one because you go in for a freewheel and then you freewheel and then you open up like it's the second half of a loop, and so you're doing like two axes of rotation, and that's a really interesting trick to me. I'd like to take it to like maybe somewhere like around like 30 feet or something like that. It would be a dream to do it off Spirit, but I'm not going to
Then
claim
you,
that I'm
but
planning on that right
but
now.
that's gonna be like a freestyle boat move, right? There's no way you're gonna pull that off in a steez.
It depends. Not a steez, but does seem to be a new kayak coming out. It seems to be that there's a lot of inspiration from the steez, and then just make that super playable. I think everybody's had that thought. They paddle the steez and they're like, "Oh man, this is awesome!" But what if I could be
A little
just
shorter,
ripping
little
vertically
flatter,
whenever I want? Yeah, so
but
I think
still
they're
run the
definitely gonna.
stouts.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to see what comes of that. I think it's going to be really cool, but I know just as much as you guys do from the Instagram post. So I don't, unfortunately, I don't
No,
have any top
well,
secret information.
I was hoping Shane had some. You got Zach on speed dial, and you're gonna call him up and be like, "Hey, can I talk about this boat?" No.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah,
But
and it makes sense. I agree with you. It's kind of like a lot of people, even when I paddle the steez, I've definitely not paddled as much as you, but I paddle the steez. I like the steez a lot, and that's one of the best. What I like what the steez does, it's so wide and flat in the back. I just don't know why
yeah,
more boats don't do that. Well, have you paddled that clutch?
no, I have not paddled a clutch yet.
Ah, I'd love to get
Doesn't
your
look like a bad
opinion.
boat, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I have no idea.
yeah. It's like the clutch looks. It paddled very steezish. It had a very steezy feel to it, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
If you get close to that, that's a good thing.
yeah.
What is?
Well, Dane's making it look good, so you know.
Yeah, but I know. You know what they say. He could paddle a piece of plywood around.
Yep, yep.
It's like
That's
whoa.
true. Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, whatever. So the gear you use, mostly I see you in a lot of the level six. Could tell us what you think about that. I mean, just give me some rundowns. And I use a lot of level six stuff too. They're awesome. Dude, it's a great company. For anyone who doesn't know, I mean, level six out of Canada there, but that I think they distribute worldwide. I think
Yeah,
they're
probably
yeah.
so. I know my buddy Santi. He's over in Chile and he's working with them, and seems like he's getting his shipments. Speedy Gonzalez, and yeah, man, he's using it and he seems to be loving it too. But yeah, I really love it. Like, especially they came out with that blackout dry suit color too. Like, I love that dry suit. I think it's a cool. Like, they got the black on the gold and everything, and now you can match it to the skirts and everything. The purple on the class six, I think that is like super sick. I
Yeah.
love using that skirt. It's definitely like hard to get on. I'm not sure if they're changing anything on the Rand or anything. I think they're going to make it a little more like pliable and workable. I don't know if you've gotten one or anything
Not
like that.
yet. Not yet. It's supposed to be here soon.
Yeah,
It
it
looks
it took
really
a
good.
it took it like a day or so of like leaving it on the boat, and then after that, then I could put it on by myself and everything.
Good. I
But
want them hard
it's
to get on and off.
yeah, man, it's
Don't
it's
you?
definitely not shy of that. So yeah, I honestly like would put a lot of faith in. I don't think I've ever put on like a more strong spray skirt than that. They got the pressure release valve and everything on that. I couldn't tell you how the science works on all that, but I'm gonna, even if it works, hey, it's
Yeah.
good to have, right?
I'm trying
But
to hopefully soon I can get one of the guys from level six to come on, either Alex or one of the designers and all that. The first time I met him, I was like, dude, if you guys can figure this out, there's been no innovation on spray skirts. I'm like,
yeah,
spray skirts have been the same since what? Whale skin? The Inuits
yeah.
are putting whale skin on kayaks. I was like, no, there's no innovation. I was like, at least try it. It could be corny. It might not work. You've seen it, you've used it. I mean, does it work? Has it blown off yet?
No, it has not. I ran Newland in that. That was like a good 80 feet. And man, it was like good as can go. I
Awesome.
mean, it was, yeah, if it's going to blow on any that I ran, then it's going to be that one. So yeah, man, I got full faith. I mean, it's even like a little hard to get off. Like, it's not, obviously, if you're upside down, you're going to get it off if you need to get
Yeah.
it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't say it's easy though, but yeah, dude, that thing is tough. I think it's the weapon for the job for sure. If you want to like be sure that your skirt's not coming off, I think that is the way to go.
You might agree with me on this. I'm more worried of a blown spray skirt over a broken paddle or a broken boat any day. Because
Oh yeah.
if my paddle breaks, I can still hand roll, I can get to the bank or whatever. If my boat hits a rock and explodes, I'm full of water, but I can still get to the bank. But man, that skirt comes off and I'm at the bottom of a big drop and that boat fills up.
Yeah,
It's like, and
exactly.
then you got another class five coming. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, man. It's yeah, you need to have your skirt not blowing. It's yeah. I
And it And if there's
I never
any
use.
if there's any technology that can even make that not happen, just even if you said, yeah, it might decrease it by 0.5%, I'm like, well, I'm sold. I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't care. Yeah.
yeah, for
So that's
sure.
awesome, man. And yeah, level six. I've been using their spray skirts for a while, ever since I used the first Ace. The
Yeah, and they
neoprene.
redid the Rand on the Ace, which I've been using that as like a daily driver kind of.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Haven't imploded at all.
No, it's held up. It's held up really well as far as not imploding. I've got cuts in it. And I've hit my paddle on it a lot. I do a lot of goofy stuff with my paddle, throwing it and hitting it on and it's like I cut it.
The crossbow
And
king.
yeah, it's like,
Oh
I've hit the skirt with the blade before. I've
yeah,
come
yeah.
across and actually rubbed across and cut the skirt like an idiot.
Those
But it
blades are
happened.
sharp, man. It's
It's like,
sharp.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so good job on level six there. I can't wait to see that. It's called the level six, class six, right? I mean,
Yes, the class six.
that's the last thing I've seen on it, and it looks good. So good
Yeah,
job on that. I mean, so far, just
super
from what
cool.
I've seen there.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, dude, you need to check out so this is one of my buddies over in Chile. His name is Santi. I don't know if you follow him yet. His
I've probably
Notorious
seen his
Media
stuff.
Tent.
Okay,
Notorious Media Tent is who he kind of goes
okay.
under and everything. He paddles for level six and Drago Rossi. He is, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody more committed to like posting all their stuff. Like he might do like 3 Palgine laps in a week or something like that. He's still going to post his lap.
Does he
It's a
live
lot of
down there?
good
Does he live right there by?
consistency. Yeah, he lives in Pucón. And dude,
What's the
he
name of
makes
his?
some
It's
kayak
called
movies.
Notorious Media Tent.
Notorious Media Tent, man. Some of the most, I think it's some of the best kayaking videos online right now outside of Bomb Flow
You
and,
know, I think
all those classics. But yeah, man, he does a lot of like like, I don't think he does like boat reviews or anything like that, but probably like one of the best people at like repping companies and everything like that. He just,
yeah.
he really encompasses Chile in a great way. And that's
I
what got me
think
so inspired to
I
go down there.
Yeah, I think I've seen his content come across a few times. You know how it just does recommended stuff, and I think I've seen his
Yeah.
stuff right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's been really good stuff. The way it's just
Yeah.
popped up like that, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we'll check it out. Notorious Media Tent. Well,
Yeah.
awesome, man. What else you got? You got anything else you want to add?
Um, I guess something that I've came across, not recently, but I guess coming back to the whole media thing and everything. God, there's so many videos on Vimeo that people just don't know about. I
The
like
Vimeo platform.
it's a YouTube generation now. There
It
is
is.
like a whole nother world of maybe even more kayaking content than there is on YouTube on Vimeo.
Yeah, just
Like,
because of Evan Garcia, he's the only one that
yeah,
does Vimeo
yeah,
though.
yeah. That's yeah.
Nobody
You guys
outside
can.
Bombflow.
There's quite a bit. I guess there's all the old LVM. You can find LVM on there.
Yeah, the old LVM stuff. Man,
So
there
yeah,
you
as
go.
somebody who's came into the sport recently, like I didn't know about that. Like, how am I supposed to know that there's good stuff on Vimeo? But as of recent, I've been
Well,
like kind
you
of
know the
working my
reason
way.
why. You know why people hung in there with Vimeo so long, don't you?
No, I have no idea.
Zero copyright there.
Oh,
So if guys like you want to use Kendrick Lamar and all of your clips and still, it's like, go ahead. Where now you'll get a copyright strike. You'll get a
yeah,
copyright strike. Some songs you can use and some songs you can't. And that's when I started YouTube. That's all I really wanted to do was just kind of document my runs. And then I started getting into
yeah,
boat reviews and doing all that.
yeah,
And then I
yeah.
realized real quick, you need to get the music out of there right away.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then save your. I hope you're saving a lot of your stuff. Don't delete it. But
Yeah, man. It's funny timing you say that because I actually just corrupted my whole Chile SD card. I put out everything that I kind of wanted
you
to,
didn't dump
aside
it as
from,
soon as you got home. As soon as I get back
dude,
from a trip, I dump it.
no, I've never had an SD card crash or anything like that.
Oh, that's so
And
painful. That
it just
hurts, man.
blew up. I had one more edit to make of 3 waterfalls that I ran, and I've got like the main footage of all of them, but I had like some vlogging stuff here and there. But I have mostly everything besides like the first like 4 or 5 days of the trip or something like that. So it's not like a huge loss, but I have one more video coming, and I just don't know
It
that
hurts
it's,
though.
yeah, man.
It
So
lives up here. It lives up here, and you can talk about it. But I get what you're saying. It's like you
yeah,
kind of want your own little. it's kind of, if you think about it, it's kind of like your own little storage media house. You just
Yeah.
edit the best points, throw it out there, and forget about it. And then
Yeah.
later, man, I'm telling you, you will definitely go back in a few years, and look at that stuff, because I'll go back at times and just go down memory lane and just go down. I'm like, oh, I was like, what was that run? I forget all these runs, and I was like, what was that run? I was like, wait a minute. I'll just go back through my content and keep going. I was like, oh, there it is. And it's like
Yeah,
just
man.
fun to come up with that stuff, because some of the people don't even paddle anymore. They either
Yeah.
quit and just don't do it anymore, and it's just cool to remember that stuff.
Yeah,
So
super
yeah,
cool. I was even watching a video that I made from the Chile trip. This is like what, 2 months ago or something. I watched it and I was like, oh my God. Like I just like we ran this waterfall, we like dap up, and I'm
it
like,
it
oh
helps
man, that
memorize it.
feeling is like that is like just the best thing in the whole world. I'm so glad like I have it here. You know what I mean? Like I can feel it, and so it's
Yeah.
it's just really nice to have that, you know. Crazy, crazy good filmer. There's a guy, he's slipping my head right now. He had Benny's film from the kayak session short film awards. I can't remember his name, but he made a really cool video of Benny. It was what is it called? It's like something. The video has to do with style. Oh, the Benny Mar. It just came to me. The name of the film is A Quality of Imagination. It's kind of just like Benny going through like his thought process and like what he kind of likes to paddle and what like
Okay.
scratches his itch with paddling and everything. And oh man, it's just like it's like a 2.5 3 minute video, and it's just all so good,
I'll
man.
check
It's
that out.
it's a
Yeah, I like some Benny Marr stuff.
yeah.
He's a good personality too. Have you ever paddled with him?
No, I have not. I've never
I call
seen a
I,
wild Benny.
I call him the Sasquatch of kayaking.
Oh
It's
yeah, that
like
makes sense.
there's only sightings of him here and there. I
Yeah,
was in
yeah,
the PNW and he was there. I was like, does he even exist?
yeah.
He's the spirit bear.
Yep, yep.
That's
He
what we
might he
should
might
call him.
just be. He might just be that, man.
We might
That's
just
so
name
funny.
Benny Marr the spirit bear, because I've seen more spirit bears than I've seen Benny Mars out there.
Oh man, yeah, true, right? That's so funny. Yeah, he seems like a hard one to catch, huh?
He's got a
Oh
yoga
man,
class
dude,
on.
I asked Benny about some rapid that he ran. If you want to see a crazy kayaking video, there's he has it on his YouTube or something, somewhere deep in his Instagram too. It's like I always wanted to run the Chute de la Ursula or something like that. It's something French that I can't pronounce, but man, I swear to God, he
And
runs
it's
this
in
like
France.
massive slide. No, 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 it's in French. It's French Canadian. I think it's in Canada somewhere.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. He runs this slide, and oh my God, he's like pinned underwater in this like massive slide for like 30 seconds. And then he comes out and he's like swimming the rest of the slide. Like he gets pinned at like a quarter of the way up the slide.
Jeez.
And then he swims the rest of it after being underwater for so long. And he like gets to the bottom. He's so calm. And I texted him, I was like, dude, this is the craziest thing I've ever, I know it's like 8 years later, but this is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Only the
And
spirit bear can survive that.
yeah, I was like, dude, how do you get your headspace there? And we start talking about breath work, and he sends me like a 5 minute voice message on breath work. I'm like, oh my God, dude, Benny's, yeah,
Yeah.
he told me that he held his breath for like 5 minutes one time, and then he stopped because he wasn't sure what was going to happen next. He said he was like, I was feeling fine, but I wasn't sure what was going to happen to me if I kept going. So yeah, dude, I would really like to get to know Benny in person. Everything, he seems like a good guy.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. So where can people find you here? Go ahead. Where you got? I know you're on YouTube. Are you on Venmo? I hope you're. Is it Venmo? What? It's not Venmo. It's. What is it?
Vimeo.
Venmo. It's stupid. People don't go there. Don't trust them. It's a spam
Hey
website.
man, you can find me on there, whatever. But
uh,
yeah, man, I do Instagram, I do Facebook, just my name, Shane Simoneaux.
yeah, and
It's
your YouTube is just your name too, right?
yeah, just my name. So yeah, if you guys want to stay tuned, we'll have some pretty good water this week. I think it's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
dump.
yeah. There we go. Before you go, I mean, that's right. We got some rain moving in. You
Yeah,
got any
man.
plans? You eyeballing anything?
DeSoto. I think DeSoto would be awesome.
Woo! For anybody that doesn't know, look up DeSoto. That's Alabama, right?
Yeah, man.
I
That one's
think
it's
90
up
feet.
above like LRC. I think the drop in total is 90 feet.
No,
There's
I'm
a
thinking of uh,
Nakalula.
Nakalula. Nakalula
Yeah.
is 90 feet, and it's illegal to run. So if he does run
Yes.
it, he didn't tell
I
me.
think they all I think they all are. But yeah,
That's right.
man.
DeSoto's illegal. Never right.
I I would love to see Nakalula. There's no promise of running that one. That one's like people talk shit and they're like, oh, I'm gonna run DeSoto one day, but nobody's talking shit saying they're gonna run Nakalula if they don't mean
No,
it.
it looks hard. I know
Yeah,
it's been ran maybe
five
by,
descents,
yeah,
maybe
and they
five or
don't,
six descents, and they're all studs, man.
yeah,
All like,
it's like
um,
flat water going into it, right?
yeah, it's
It's like
dude,
flat water and just straight down.
it is ominous. Yeah, that one's on Vimeo too. There's a full Nakalula edit on Vimeo. If you look up Nakalula kayak Vimeo on Google, you'll
Stay
find
off
it.
Vimeo.
No, 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 no. It's got presence. It's got treats in there.
All right, man. Well, yeah, yeah, Shay, man, I'll let you get off here. It was good for you to come on. Appreciate talking to you. It was fun. Yeah, we'll get some runs in. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
we'll be out there. We'll see you, man.
All right, dude.
Peace
Thank you
out.
so much. It's been awesome.
All right, see
Catch
you.
you.
See you, man.
See you, dude.